Welcome to Short Yardage, a presentation of For Fantasy's Sake, presented to you by The Big Cheese. I'm DJ Jarvis. I'm joined tonight by Mr. Andrew McKay, who I think is very distracted tonight by the NBA draft.
Bulls not taking Obi Toppin. I'm distraught. As a Bulls fan, I am upset. And we got rid of Krause. We got rid of everybody that we needed to get rid of, and we had a chance to rebuild and start over. And no, we're just going to keep making mistakes.
Yeah, it seems to be a trend of Chicago sports teams. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. See if they can figure it out. I mean, it's not like my teams make the greatest decisions in the world either, but I mean,
yeah, they only draft quarterbacks that make sense and have absolute cannon arms.
Yeah, but I mean, at least the Cardinals got no longer have Tony La Russa at the helm, so
yeah, now he's going to be heading up the White Sox, and
yeah.
If you do not think the White Sox are going to be good next year, you're high. You are high.
As long as Tony La Russa is not asleep at the wheel.
No.
All right. So what's up?
I said asleep at the wheel or drinking.
So I know it's been a few weeks, but I got some NFL power rankings for you today.
All right, let's go.
All right. So at number 10, this one's going to shock the world. You ready for this one? The Miami Dolphins.
I like it. That defense is strong, and it surprised me the last few weeks. So
the defense is strong. They're playing with some swagger. Tua's been playing really well. He's not been lighting up the stat sheet fantasy wise, but he's been taking care of the football. They've ran the ball decently well. Myles Gaskin probably on his way back, so they've got all of the makings, and they could potentially challenge the Bills to win that division and kind of shock the world.
I don't think they challenge the Bills to win the division. I think the Bills have it locked up. I think Miami could possibly sneak in and the wild card, which I never would have assumed at the beginning of the year. So that's huge for Miami.
For sure. At number 9, the Los Angeles Rams. Their defense, you obviously knew that with Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald, their defense was going to do some stuff, but they held Seattle pretty well in check, and Russell Wilson kind of looks human again after going so long without throwing interceptions. He's got quite a few now, and the Rams were a big part of that between their pass rush and Ramsey shutting down DK Metcalf on Sunday afternoon.
I think that game was sort of a fluke. I think that was the Seattle's one game where they struggled, and they just, like a reset game. Now The next week they're going to come back, and I think you're going to see a very pissed off Russell Wilson.
They play Arizona tomorrow night, and that's gonna be a fun game. But we'll talk a little bit about that after we get through here.
Yeah. At
number 8, the Baltimore Ravens. They do not look good right now. But I'm willing to give it a little pass, due to the funky weather Sunday night against New England. But Lamar's just not looked like the same quarterback the last couple of weeks.
I never would have guessed that Willie Snead was the only one who caught who scored a touchdown for the Ravens.
Right.
Hi, Chris.
Hi, Chris. And they're joining us now, Mr. Chris Steele. He's under Andrew Point down. There you go, Chris Steele.
Big ups to everybody up top.
Chris, here's my 10-9-8 so far.
These are the best teams in the league?
These are my top 10 teams as of right now.
DJ's
Wow.
pick.
Number 7, the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen really kind of shocked me on Sunday that I knew he could stay with anybody in the league, but after he had those bad interceptions that kind of kept Arizona in the game, he was able to kind of get Buffalo and keep them in the game and go shot for shot with Kyler Murray. I would like to, despite I know how Chris feels about Devin Singletary, and that's notwithstanding, I'd like to see them run the ball a little bit more. Because losing John Brown's not going to be great for them, but I'd like to see them run a little bit more and use that strong defense that they do have with them passing the ball all the time. The defense doesn't get much time to rest, and then they have to go back out there and play.
Well, if you ask Stephon Diggs, pass the ball all the time to him. That's why you pay him.
That was a heck of a catch that he made.
Yeah.
Almost got to spike the football on that one right up until someone came along and ended the game correctly.
Number 6, the Arizona Cardinals. I was a big disser of Kyler Murray early on because I just didn't think he'd be a great NFL quarterback, and he's kind of making me eat my words so far. I know it's a little early to call him great, but he's just been able to get it done when he needs to, whether with his legs or with his arm. And that throw he made to Hopkins was a pretty incredible throw. It wasn't that Hail Mary where you just kind of chuck it up and hope if somebody catches it. Like, he had a targeted throw, and Hopkins went up and made an incredible play. But that throw from Murray was awesome too.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Kyler Murray, I thought he might go through a sophomore slump, but that's not stopping him at all. He's kind of blasting through everybody, any team that comes across him. He's a dual threat quarterback, and he's making them be honest with him about the run threat, and I think that's opening up more passing opportunities for him and his receivers.
Yeah. I think the most impressive thing about the throw was it wasn't just like a step up in the pocket, throw it as high as he can, high point the ball, kind of like we've seen Rodgers do in the past. This was running sideways, throw it with all your might across your body just to give somebody a chance. And with DeAndre Hopkins, hop out there somewhere is going to live forever because of that throw and catch. So I really am like you, DJ. I had questions about him. Year 2 tells a lot about a quarterback. I think there's reasons to believe that he is something special, especially because he is a scrambling quarterback who has the ability that a lot of scrambling quarterbacks don't, to just not get hit. He's able to get down and get out of bounds and keep himself from taking the big hits and the shots we saw guys like Kaepernick and RG3 really take that kind of ended up having bad impacts on their career.
Number 5. Ooh, apparently I'm giving you 2 here. Number 4 and number 5, the Buccaneers and the Packers. The Packers struggled a little with Jacksonville, but I think between the wind that I didn't think was going to be a factor, and it was a little bit of a trap game for them. So I expect Rodgers to just kind of be Rodgers. They're a 2-point dog to Indianapolis this week, which kind of shocked me. But I think the Packers, I have them at number 5, and I think that they could be still the best team in the NFC.
Well, with the officials on their side, they could be the best team in the league. I was surprised that they didn't get more flags in their favor that game.
They still got quite a few flags. I mean, I'm not 100% bought in on Tampa Bay still, but just because it feels like there's too many variables that are going to break bad on this team. I want to see them kind of peak at the right time before I'm 100% sold on them being the team that everyone seems to think they're going to be.
Yeah. Well, I guess that carries us to number 3, the Saints, who obliterated Brady and the Bucks. I'm a big fan of Jameis Winston, so I'm not sure that, and their schedule's pretty soft the next few weeks. So if they can go 2-2 or 3-1 while Breeze is out. This is a team that can still fight and get a bye, especially with the two win advantage over the Bucks.
How many W's do you think the Saints are going to eat in the next few weeks?
It depends on how mad that Sean Payton gets at Jameis Winston and just decides that Taysom Hill's a quarterback, because he's not. So I'll let you know. I'll get back to you.
I think we see the true Jameis Winston, and the Saints tank. I think Jameis Winston throws as many interceptions as he does touchdowns, and the Saints start, focusing more on the run with Taysom Hill, Alvin Kamara, Latavius Murray. I think you see more of that.
But we've never seen Jameis Winston play a football game with 20/20 vision.
You stop that. No more 20/20 jokes.
It wasn't a 20/20 joke. It was a LASIK joke. He's got perfect vision.
The whole reason this year is as bad as it is, I'm convinced, is all the jokes that we made about 20/20 and having 20/20 vision.
DJ, it's 20/20. Come on, you got to be on top of these things. So
the only way to make this year okay is if at the end of the year, if Barbara Walters comes on and says this was 20/20.
Wow, that's great, DJ. I think the Saints will do very well with Winston as their quarterback. Breeze was looking not so great these last couple weeks. Maybe the rest will help him kind of find his way back to vintage Drew Brees. But right now, I think with Winston behind center, I don't think they drop off at all. I think that defense is very, very good, especially when it comes to the cornerback position. Marshawn Lattimore is one of the best players in the league. So this is a team that truly will stay in contention even while they have a superstar out.
Yeah. Well, I'm very ecstatic that Dustin Garrisher is online and watching the show to see me put the Pittsburgh Steelers at number 2.
They're the deuce.
I know that they're undefeated. I haven't, outside of this past game, they haven't really dominated a football game, and it was good to see. One, as a fantasy owner, and two, as somebody who looks at things this way, to see them dominate a team that they should dominate, and they did on Sunday. And I think that I don't know really what makes them number 1, short of Kansas City kind of imploding.
Dustin's comments is 100% right.
DJ is quite biased. There's no reason to think anything otherwise.
I am quite biased, but you can also find various other platforms that think that the Chiefs are the number 1 team in football.
I mean, I think you're kind of trending towards the old guard here a little bit, DJ. You're just taking traditional teams that have been strong throughout the years and you're putting them at 1, 2, 3. When some of these younger teams have shown enough that they can actually compete and be considered the best team in the league. Arizona has every reason to think they can be the best team in the league. The defense is so much more improved than last year. That was their biggest downfall. Buffalo looks like, with whatever Josh Allen's got going for him right now, he's taken it to a new level. Baltimore has every reason to think that they can go into any game and win because they have Lamar. So those are 3 teams that, I mean, you could swap out any of the top 3 and I'd be fine with that.
I do have a question, Chris. Why do you think Baltimore is not as electric as they were last year? Do you think more teams are starting to key in on Lamar and kind of containing him and not letting him escape as much? Or do you think Lamar himself is having last year being his first year as a starter, so this year he's having a junior year slump?
Mm-hmm.
I think it still could be considered kind of sophomore year slump, as he didn't completely play that first year. I think he played 7 games, and so teams didn't really know how to play against him. And then I think last year you could even consider kind of fluky because he threw the ball at just an amazing rate. And this year teams are actually making him throw the ball, like instead of playing back and trying to play that middle zone, and they're not running the ball outside of Lamar as well as they have in the past. So you're kind of able to key on him in the run game and then make him try to pass the ball.
Yeah, I think we're also suffering from a little bit of Lamar not having that elite wide receiver. Everybody was really psyched to see Hollywood Brown kind of take off a little bit this year, but he's having a decent year. He's not having the electric year everybody like thought he would have. Right now he's ranked like at 44th in targets right now with 56, but he only has 34 receptions. So not the most efficient right now, and only 2 touchdowns to go along with that too. I think people were expecting to see his number up around more of like 8 by the end of the year, and he can still do that easily. But it seems like when they're down in the red zone, it's more Mark Andrews territory than it is looking for Hollywood or those type of players, where you're seeing like the Kansas City model with Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill can score from anywhere on the field. So that's where he gets his touchdowns from. Marquise Brown hasn't achieved that level yet of just transcendent star. And I think that's really what's hampered Lamar a little bit this year. And also the defense isn't quite as good as last year. I think that has hurt their offense as well, because last year's defense was really good, and this year they're just very good.
Jordan did just ask, anyone think Lamar really isn't that good? And it's hard to say. It really is.
I compare Lamar to like a Michael Vick.
Yeah, but Vic's throwing prowess was much better. He could definitely throw the ball a lot better.
Vic also had a little bit better receivers than a Hollywood Brown.
I would agree, but Vic threw the ball really well, and I mean he could throw the ball through a brick wall, and he had incredible arm strength and accuracy, and that's one thing I would like to see Lamar take a little more advantage of is the speed on the outside from his receivers.
Vic also had quite possibly my favorite tight end ever in Algie Crumpler.
Big old throwback name.
Yeah, I was gonna use something about tight ends for National Tight End Day for fantasy sake, and then you said Algie Crumpler, blew my mind, and I couldn't even think about tight ends after that. I'd have to say, outside of Travis Kelce, my favorite tight end of all time is probably Des Clark. So I think that's a very, very low bar.
Desmond Clark, that's another great tight end.
I think the thing about Lamar is that Lamar is a unicorn. We haven't seen anything like this in the league's history. Somebody who is this dynamic in this way, and so it's having to rewire our brains a little bit to understand that he put up video game numbers last year, and it's not always going to be that way. He's a player that has dynamic talent, but he can be a double-edged sword where he can hurt you with that talent too, because he's always trying to make that next play. And last year, everything did right for that offense. When things don't go 100% right, then it's easy to point the finger at Lamar right now, because he's going to be the one, like, make the example of like an NBA team. You know, the best player on the team is going to lead the team in turnovers too. Lamar's kind of that guy where he's going to make plays, but he's going to hurt you too.
Yeah. I've never heard that put that way, Chris. That's actually a really good take.
Yeah.
I don't have good takes often, DJ, and I saved it for a Wednesday. I blew it.
So if you're taking, I want you to give me in order. I know I'm putting you guys on the spot. We'll start with Andrew. Give Chris a time. Let his brain process. In order, who are the top 5 dynasty quarterbacks?
Ooh,
or just give me 5. You don't have to put them in order. I know I'm putting you on the spot.
All right. So obviously Kyler through this year, yeah, Kyler is in that conversation. I'd put him at number 1 for me. personally. Looking at Dynasty, you got to have Josh Allen in there because surprisingly, he's kind of that dual threat quarterback type where he's got the legs to take off and run, which I don't feel like is very fair because he's got a rocket arm and could throw a ball out of the football field if he wanted to. I'm convinced he could chuck it up over the bleachers, cheap seats, and out into the parking lot. I think our friend Linda is going to like this take. Drew Lock. I do like Drew Lock a lot. I think he's got a lot to prove, and there's a lot of scrutiny. I saw an article where they were saying that Drew Lock is unimpressive and that he's got all this talent surrounding him and this team. And they're right, but they're wrong at the same time. Jerry Jeudy, he's a rookie coming out of Alabama, and I think that he's starting to find his footing on that team, and he's going to be a good receiver and he's going to be a good player in this league. But I think that they need to have a little time before he or Hamler come into that elite receiver talk. He's got a tight end and Noah Fant that is very good as well. Fant's problem is that he hasn't been healthy this year. He's missed a lot of time, so Locke had missed time this year, so Locke didn't have Fant, and then didn't have Melvin Gordon for a few games. Philip Lindsay's been hurt, so to say that Drew Lock is a bad quarterback and isn't the guy for the Broncos, I think is a little unfair, especially off this year. When you look at it and you see, hey, who's all around him, and you see the injuries that they've kind of dealt with. So I think you put Drew Lock in those conversations. I'm gonna be this guy and put Tua in that conversation as well, just because the Dolphins defense has stepped up and they are showing people that they are a decent football team, and if they can just get the offense together and to play consistently and to get on the same page, then they're gonna be a force. And then I don't have a fifth, so I'm stopping at 4.
What about you didn't say anything about my guy?
Pat Mahomes?
Yeah.
I didn't think I had to, Deej. I figured Pat Mahomes is a given, just like Lamar's a given.
All right, Chris, you got 5 for us. Oh, by the way, Andrew, before Chris goes, I guess it would have been fun to have you in our group conversation yesterday when I was getting just reamed by Nate about our buddy Nate about loving Drew Lock. So he was just reaming me. Chris was probably laughing when he was reading that, but
DJ talked him up all Sunday, and then he laid a big old egg for DJ.
bigger than a big old egg.
It was good times. I would probably go with Mahomes 1, Lamar 2. These are givens at this point. Mahomes, just because he has so many dynamic pieces around him that it's going to elevate him even if he has a bad game. Lamar, just because he's something that we've never seen before, kind of like we went over. I would probably go with Kyler after that, because Kyler, I think, is making the most of his opportunities. I don't believe in Cliff Kingsbury at all. I think that Kyler is succeeding in spite of his coach, which is saying something. So my number 4 would probably be a guy right along those same lines, because what we've seen Deshaun Watson do with a coach who is trying to murder him on the field is just incredible. The fact that Deshaun Watson has played this many games in his career is a miracle at the rate he's getting sacked. So I think there are big things ahead for Deshaun Watson, even if it's not going to be a great year for him this year. I think the light is still coming, and he's about to get out from underneath Bill O'Brien, and that's going to be huge for him. My number 5 would probably be Josh Allen. Kind of just like what you said, it's about kind of what he brings to the table, and he's got a giant arm. He's probably as good a runner as Cam Newton running the football, and he has the same size as Cam too. So that's something that we haven't really seen in the league before either, because even when Cam had his MVP year, there were still questions about Cam's arm. I don't think there are as many questions about what Josh Allen can really do at this point. So I'd give one honorable mention, though, to Justin Herbert, just because I love this story this year.
Hate his haircut, though.
It's a bad haircut. It's a bad face. But just all around, I love what he's overcome. And the questions about his toughness, the questions about his ability that swirled around the draft and like the entire like build up to the big pro days and things like that. Everyone questioned his mental ability. Everyone questioned his toughness. He's proven that he is an NFL player more than I think we've seen a lot of guys do that in the past. And he's had to really climb a mountain more than most rookies have to. So to have him have this success shows you that all of those knocks were completely invalid, and he has the ability to go and probably ascend to a level that we're talking about him as one of the top 5 eventually here.
Yeah, I think that if I were to do my top 5, I would kind of agree along. There's Justin Herbert's new haircut. It is truly not great.
The other one just looked like he got out of the shower before, so I don't see how this is much of a downgrade.
No, he had better hair before. This is not good.
way better hair before pre-haircut. Chris, do you think that if Tyrod does not get his lung punctured by a team doctor, do you think that Justin Herbert is playing right now? Or do you think he's still riding the bench?
I think any team that has Tyrod Taylor as their quarterback is just waiting for the rookie to take over. I think the Browns kind of showed you that when they were like, Tyrod's going to be our guy right up until Baker's ready to take a snap, and then he's not our guy anymore. So I think Tyrod's just a placeholder at this point. But you're probably right. It probably does take longer, and maybe it's in situations where Herbert wouldn't have been as successful because of the way it happened. So just kind of Tyrod's like getting knocked out of the way and the way it happened, and him really ascending to the level that we've seen him play at has really been a part of Tyrod being on the team, and just having that kind of cushion to start the year where he didn't have to be all eyes on him to start the year. And anything that he does is icing on the cake at this point because no one was expecting it.
So I would kind of go along with Mr. Rangel here, even blow for blow. Mahomes 1, Kyler 2, Russ 3, Josh Allen 4, and Dak 5. I think I agree. Deshaun Watson would be on the outside of my top 5, just on the outside, as would Lamar. So I think to where we have some really good young quarterbacks, and it's going to be fun to watch over the next few years of how these guys mature and what kind of teams, because we're not even talking about I know you touched on it a little. We're not talking about Tua. We're not talking about Joe Burrow being these all-time great, or not even all-time greats, but we're not talking about these guys being, your top 5-6 quarterbacks at this time, but they're certainly on the doorstep. So would I be correct, Andrew, in saying Tua would be your top rookie quarterback?
Yeah, I'd say Tua is the top rookie QB. Then looking at Justin Herbert, obviously, but I think you could almost, swap either one of those two out.
See, and I think for me it's Burrow, and you're just missing an offensive line in front of the guy. But I think we had a very good crop of quarterbacks that are going to be, you're not going to have. Sorry, guys, you're not going to have your Mitch Trubisky in this class where the other two shine so much better. I think this is kind of like, I won't say that they'll win Super Bowls at the clip, but this is kind of like your Eli Manning, Phillip Rivers, Ben Roethlisberger, where you have a potential of 3 guys who are going to be really freaking good. I agree with Dustin. And AFC North is a tough division to be a rookie quarterback with no offensive line, because their defenses play fast, they play hard, and they play aggressive. And Burrow just, I don't want him to start hearing footsteps a la David Carr. That That would be not good.
Yeah.
So there were some comments earlier on the thing.
Who wouldn't?
What's up?
Dustin's next comment.
Oh yeah, he would slay in the NFC East.
But who wouldn't? What quarterback wouldn't?
Almost all of them.
We need to see that. We need to see that other rookie quarterback from Alabama/Oklahoma and see what Jalen Hurts can do. There's some talk earlier in the chat. We'll start with you, Chris. Who's your top rookie wide receiver?
I was going to say this is a great wide receiver class too. To follow up on the point you were making before with Dak being in there at number 5, I really agree with that. I think for fantasy purposes, it's hard to put him up in that kind of category just because you don't know what he's going to be like coming off the injury, and you also don't know what situation he's going to be in going forward. He could be on any team essentially next year. But looking at what he did just going into this last week, he had more yards passing than Kirk Cousins, Baker Mayfield, Lamar Jackson, and Cam Newton, and he was missing the 4 previous games.
Right.
So he was on a crazy pace to have a great year, and to have him get destroyed like that, it was a shame. Looking at the wide receiving core, there's a lot to love here. I've really found myself endeared a lot to T. Higgins. Justin Jefferson has won me over. I liked him a lot in college, and to see him do so well already, it's really made my scout's eye feel good. And I gotta love Mooney. Mooney is doing great with the opportunities that he gets on the Bears. That's a guy who went way late and has really made the most of it, not just because he's fast, but also because he's very smart. And so this is a great wide receiving class because we're already leaving out like CeeDee Lamb and guys that got drafted huge in fantasy because everybody knew they were going to be special. So I just really love T. Higgins. He's my guy probably going forward.
What about for you, Andrew?
For me, I like CeeDee Lamb. I like Jerry Jeudy. I like Darnell Mooney, of course. He was a very nice, pleasant surprise. He's going out there, he's catching the ball, and it's literally a matter of him getting overthrown by a yard or 2 feet, and it's heartbreaking every time because I think he could be those that playmaking receiver like Justin Jefferson is and that CeeDee Lamb is there. He could put up those numbers if he had a good quarterback back there throwing to him, and I think that's what's heartbreaking about it is because he is a very good receiver. But outside of Mooney, like CeeDee Lamb, Jerry Jeudy, Justin Jefferson, it's a huge receiving class that I've absolutely been in love with.
Before Dustin gets mad and storms off, and for fantasy's sake, we'll say Chase Claypool's name 4 times. Chase Claypool, Chase Claypool, Chase Claypool, Chase Claypool. I would also agree with, I think that I really like Higgins. I like CeeDee Lamb. My guy would be Justin Jefferson. He was a guy I had been targeting to try to get in a couple of leagues because I'm a big fan of what he is and what he could be. Couple interesting stats I saw this week. Justin Jefferson has the 5th most receiving yards through a wide receiver's first 9 career games of all time. Every other player in the top 10 had at least 70 targets to get there. Justin Jefferson has only 54. And then I don't really much buy into Pro Football Focus, but he's played in 9 weeks and he's been the highest graded wide receiver in 4 of them.
I'm gonna say something to upset Mr. Rangel, but it doesn't take too much to be a good receiver when Kirk Cousins blindly just chucks it up downfield for you to run underneath it.
Well, he's running underneath of it, though. That's something that not even Mooney can do, and he's getting overthrown by 15 yards.
I had to get my shot in there because Kirk Cousins is still a bad quarterback.
He won on Monday night. The curse is broken. He's good now.
Jordan says he's the number 6 dynasty quarterback. Jokingly, I don't think Jordan believes that. Do you guys want to lament over Monday night, or do you want to move on to what's happening tomorrow night?
I do not want to ever talk about the Bears again.
All right.
I want to make my point about the Bears on Monday night that shows you how good this defense is.
Have at it.
All they need is something on offense, because they put up 0 points. The offense put up 0 points. And you know what happens? Kirk Cousins only wins by a score. It was a 1-score game. How can you say that he is a good quarterback when he can't beat the Bears without, the offense not – basically, if there was no offense on the other side, the Vikings defense is just out there messing around for 3 and outs. And, yeah, if there was a legitimate offense out there, I think the Bears win that game. And that's where I am.
And that's your TED Talk.
Yeah.
That's 1 first down in the second half. That's embarrassing. That's not NFL
Didn't they have
football.
negative
That
2
ended
yards in
football.
the third?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't get their first down until it was garbage time final drive. And Tyler Bray should not be allowed to throw a pass in the NFL ever again. He's been on the Bears roster for 3 or 4 years now, and he cannot throw a football to a person. I don't understand why you keep bringing him up or keeping him on your practice squad right now.
They're bringing in DeShone Kizer, though.
I'm okay with it. I was an idiot and said that DeShone Kizer was going to be very, very good, and I was very, very wrong. But he's better than Tyler Bray. That's 100% true.
I think DeShone Kizer got a bad shot, though.
Yeah,
he went into a Cleveland Browns team who didn't really have an offensive line, wasn't really giving him many weapons, and he got obliterated. And then went to Green Bay and played backup to Aaron Rodgers. And then when it was time for DeShone Kizer to come in, he faced a Packers line that was not prepared for Khalil Mack. That had circled that game from the second the schedule came out, and they were like, we're coming after the Bears. And then earlier that week, the Bears were just like, we're calling an audible. We're going to bring in Khalil Mack. And, yeah, the Packers were not prepared for it. So I think that's where DeShone Kizer gets a little bit of a bad rap. I think he could be a good quarterback if he gets a chance. I don't think the Bears are that chance, though.
For talented rookie wide receivers, one we forgot was Chenault, too. He seems like he's primed for a good year. Right now, a lot of people are dropping him. So fantasy-wise, if you're still looking for somebody who has might be a low leverage play, even for the rest of the year, he might be a good end of bench guy. If fantasy-wise, he's a good keeper. So keep an eye out for him if he ends up hitting the waiver wire at any point. DJ's talking to his producer right now, aka his phone.
Yeah, I was talking to the producer.
Mm-hmm.
And AFC North guy.
Yeah, that's one of those things. Joe Burrow's head bounced off the turf like a basketball because Myles Garrett was all over him. And they kept showing shots of his family up in the stands, and they're cheering for Joe Burrow right up until that "oh no" moment.
Oh no, Burrow.
Yeah.
I mean, Mason Rudolph got his head knocked in with his own helmet from Myles Garrett. So
Whoa.
Yeah, how did Madden not give him the fearmonger trait this year? I'd be afraid.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about tomorrow night's game before we skedaddle here. Two offenses that have been really good, two defenses who've had some bright spots, but awful suspect. What are you looking to see out of this game, Andrew?
Obviously, Seattle looking to get a little revenge, looking to rebound off 2 straight losses. They're gonna be out for blood, and I haven't heard whether Ty Lockett is gonna be healthy to play for that game. I think he does play.
Yeah, Pete Carroll said probably,
but I don't think he's gonna be 100%. And not 100% Ty Lockett is not the best thing in the world for Russell. So I think he's going to be trying to key in on DK Metcalf a little bit more. You might even see David Moore get some more looks. Chris Carson, he was a guy that they relied on a little bit on in the last game, so I think you see him get used more heavily. DJ Dallas, he was a guy that I saw, and he's impressed me a little bit as that running back, so I think they could incorporate him in there. But I think with Arizona, I think it's business as usual, and it's going to be going out looking for another W and probably chuck it up to D-Hop.
Chris, here's a good question for you, since you're apparently an expert DFS player, finishing third. Who's going to be the DFS star tomorrow? That's not expected.
That's hard. I'm only good at it because I'm good at looking at all the names and trying to find the value. I have no idea prior to when I put in those selections, DJ, so I have no clue whatsoever.
Andrew, I would go a little bit with Andrew's suspicion and say that David Moore would kind of be that guy for you. He even if Lockett plays, he's going to see a little bit more run than normal. And this is a guy who gets targets in the end zone almost every game. And with Lockett banged up, you could see a lot more targets for him in the open field, and he'll still see those end zone targets that he typically sees, but a little bit more action inside the 20s.
My problem is I always liked David Moore right up until I saw him play. It was one of those things where I saw the numbers that he put up and the catches, and I was like, okay, he's got to be pretty good. I'm going to put him on my roster. And then I watched him play, and like everything hits him in the hands, and he drops it. And so David Moore, I think, is always
still chucking at him.
They're throwing it at him, but he can't catch it though. That's the problem. You can be great, and you still have to catch the ball. Travis Homer might be a good one. It depends on if Chris Carson's actually going to play or not. That's the real question, is if he's going to be up or down.
I think for me, the running back situation in Seattle always just kind of made me a little nervous. Is you've always expected Carson to get his stuff, and then past that, you haven't really known. Sometimes Penny was getting carries, sometimes he wasn't, and then now the situation's kind of murky again.
Well, there was a time last year where it felt like if Chris Carson fumbled one more time, he was going to be done for a while there. That was early in last year, but since then he's really turned it around, and he hasn't had nearly the problems holding on the football. So I think he's become more of a complete back. There was that time where they were trying to jam Rashard Penny in there a little bit more, but I don't see anybody taking his spot on this team right now. So if he's up, he's good.
Yeah. Chris, this could be a revenge game, not only for the Seahawks, but it could be a potential revenge game for your boy Buda Baker, and maybe escape DK Metcalf this week.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, boys. Before we sign off, make one this week. I guess as quick as 45 minutes can be. Andrew, what's your prediction for the game?
I think we have another high score game. But I think we go 38-35 Arizona.
Chris?
Yeah, I usually keep it around like 24 or 28. I think it's going to be in the 30s, kind of like Andrew said. I think it's going to be 35 to keep it close. 28, 35 to 28. I don't think Seattle's defense can stop anyone. That's my problem.
35-28 Arizona?
Yes, Arizona. Jamal Adams is the best player on the field for them on defense, but I can't name another player that I like on that team other than Bobby Wagner.
Yeah. Oh, Shaquille Griffin, and then the other Griffin with one hand.
Shaquem.
Yeah. I'm gonna make it unanimous, mostly because I don't want to do the lone wolf howl.
No, you got to howl, DJ.
No, DJ, you have to go Seattle.
DJ, I took the 49ers last week, so I could howl. You got to make it right.
My daughter's sleeping above me. I owe you a howl. No, but I do think Arizona wins. Similar score to you, but I think it might be like 35-30, something around there. Maybe 35-31. But yeah, high scoring game. I think that Seattle couldn't stop the three of us from matriculating the ball downfield. And so they're definitely not going to stop, like a talented Kyler Murray and and DeAndre Hopkins.
Mhm.
I liked what they said on NFL Network today, though. If we run into a Hail Mary situation, they've got to have DK Metcalf back there.
Just let him duke it out.
Yeah. All right, boys. It's been fun. I hope you've enjoyed yourself. A major shout out to our comment section. It was booming today. I hope you guys bring that same energy on Sunday morning. I know I'll probably be a little less sleepy than I am right now. So for Mr. Steele and Mr. McKay, thank you for joining us on Short Yardage. We'll be back Sunday morning at 10 a.m. for Week 11 for Fantasy Sip, except for Andrew. He'll probably be sleeping. So have a good night, and we'll see you on Sunday morning.